My name is Clarice Monroe, and on my 34th birthday, my husband took me to a scrapyard, turned on a camera, and announced our divorce in front of our friends, just to humiliate me. But what they didn't know was, I had already read the entire plan, and the night before my birthday, I quietly prepared for my perfect disappearance. And from that very moment of betrayal, I began my rebirth. Not with rage, but with silence, strategy, and a plan no one could have seen coming. Before I share the rest of my story, let me know where you're watching from in the comments. And don't forget to like and subscribe if you've ever had to rise after being broken. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. I never meant to see that email. Grant's laptop sat open on our kitchen counter while he showered upstairs. I was reaching for my coffee when the preview caught my eye. After Saturday, everything changes. She'll finally understand the game is over. Saturday was my birthday. My fingers moved on their own, clicking into his Gmail. The thread unfolded like a knife between my ribs. 2 years of messages between my husband and Brenda, my former colleague, the woman who'd helped pick my wedding dress. Can't wait to see her face, Brenda had written. The guys are all in. Jake's bringing the camera, Grant replied. I scrolled faster. They'd planned everything. A fake surprise party ending with public humiliation. Grant would announce our divorce in front of everyone. But the worst part was the attachment labeled property transfer docs. Our house, the one we'd saved for together, he was stealing it while planning to throw me away. I heard the shower turn off. My hands shook as I forwarded everything to my private email, then closed the laptop. When Grant came down, towel around his waist, I was washing dishes. Morning, babe, he said, kissing my shoulder. The same shoulder he'd kissed every morning for 8 years. Morning, I managed, scrubbing the same plate for the 3rd time. He grabbed his laptop and headed to his office, whistling. The sound followed me as I gripped the sink, watching soap bubbles pop one by one, each burst a tiny ending. That night, I started planning my own surprise. At 2 a.m., I slipped out of bed. In the basement, behind Christmas decorations, I'd hidden a duffel bag weeks ago, just in case. Now I filled it. Clothes that wouldn't be missed, copied documents, cash I'd been skimming from groceries. My grandmother's ring, wrapped in tissue. I found Grant's hidden recorder behind our wedding photo. He'd been recording our arguments. But 2 could play. I set our Alexa to record everything when triggered by specific words. 3 days before my birthday, it delivered. Grant and Brenda, discussing the house transfer while I was supposedly at yoga. She's so trusting, it's almost sad, Brenda laughed. Not trusting, Grant corrected. Just stupid. I sat in my car, listening on repeat. Each replay carved out more of my heart until just hollow space remained. But hollow spaces leave room for planning. I withdrew daily ATM limits, bought a burner phone 2 towns over, researched bus routes to cities where nobody knew my name. Chicago seemed far enough. My late aunt had lived there once. The night before my birthday, Grant kissed me goodnight. Can't wait for tomorrow, babe. It's going to be unforgettable. I'm counting on it, I whispered back. He fell asleep quickly. I lay there memorizing his breathing patterns, not from love, but strategy. At dawn, I made his coffee like always, kissed him goodbye when he left for work, watered my roses one last time. Then I called the number I'd found online. I need a ride tomorrow. It's an emergency extraction. The driver, Roberto, understood. He'd escaped once, too. We arranged everything. The pickup location, the signal, the route. My hands didn't shake anymore. The hollow space inside had filled with something harder than sadness. Purpose. They blindfolded me with my anniversary scarf. Trust us, Jake laughed as they led me to the car. Grant's hand on my back felt like a brand. 40 minutes later, at the old scrapyard outside Austin, they removed it. Empty beer cans, a mocking, surprise banner between dead trees, Brenda recording everything. Surprise, Clarice? Grant's voice dripped satisfaction. Time for your birthday present. But I was already backing toward the road, where headlights appeared on schedule. My Uber's here, I said. Grant's face went slack. Your what? The construction van pulled up. Roberto, my hired driver, already opening the door. Clarice, what are you? Grant started forward. Happy birthday to me, I said, climbing in. Roberto drove while I cut my hair with nail scissors in the back seat, watching auburn strands fall. At a rest stop, I changed clothes and threw the old ones away. By the Greyhound station, I was someone else. Clara Keene, according to the ID I'd had made. I boarded the Chicago bus with one look back at Austin's skyline. 8 years of my life glowed in the distance. Then I found my seat and didn't look back again. The bus smelled like diesel and desperation. A woman across the aisle clutched a garbage bag of possessions. A man in front counted crumpled bills. We were all running from something. "Where are you headed?" the woman asked. "Away," I said. She nodded like that made perfect sense. Grant would be looking for Clarisse Monroe by now. Calling police, friends, anyone. But Clarisse had evaporated at a scrapyard, leaving only Clara, whoever she'd become. The highway stretched ahead, every mile widening the gap between who I'd been and who I might be. I pressed my forehead against the cool window and finally let myself breathe. Chicago in November was a freezer. I rented a room that smelled like cabbage and lost dreams, paying weekly with crumpled cash. The radiator clanged all night, but it beat Grant's snoring. For 2 weeks, I barely left. Without Clarisse's routines, her contacts, her life, I was nobody. Just Clara, eating gas station sandwiches on a thin mattress. Day 10 broke me. Through a store window, I watched a couple browsing furniture, the woman pointing excitedly while the man checked his phone, bored. I knew that dynamic. I ran back and sobbed until my ribs ached. But rock bottom is solid ground to build on. I started small. Morning coffee at the corner diner, a library card, job applications with vague employment history. 3 weeks in, I interviewed at Green Pulse Tech. The startup operated from a converted warehouse, all exposed brick and hope. "Any experience with sustainable energy?" CEO Daniel Keaton asked, coffee stain on his tie. "No, but I'm good at learning what matters." Something convinced him. Maybe how I'd reorganize their scattered brochures while waiting. "When can you start?" "Now." He smiled, genuine, warm. "Monday works too." I walked out employed, my new name official. Bought a plant for my windowsill. Not much, but something green growing in all that gray. Days became weeks. I answered phones, filed papers, watched everything. Especially the numbers flowing through like water through cupped hands. Too much spilling out. Daniel would pace past my desk, calculating aloud. The Morrison Solar Project came up constantly. The numbers screamed danger, but Clara the receptionist wouldn't know that. Except I couldn't watch him walk into disaster. Even if speaking up risked everything I'd built. Some instincts survive even when everything else burns. The need to warn, to help, to matter. Maybe that's what Grant had really stolen. My belief that my voice counted. "You'll be bankrupt in 6 months," I said without thinking. Daniel stopped mid-pace. "Excuse me?" I should have kept quiet, but the numbers screamed louder than fear. "The Morrison Project. Their testing data doesn't add up." I pulled up the spreadsheet. "Here, see the pattern?" Daniel leaned over my shoulder. Pine aftershave and possibility. "How did you catch this?" "I like puzzles." He studied me with Lake Michigan eyes. "Would you like solving more?" Paid, of course. That night, I enrolled in online MBA courses. Daniel started leaving reports on my desk, trusting I'd find what others missed. I always did. 6 months in, we'd turned the company profitable. We worked late most nights, building something that mattered. He talked about his late wife sometimes. I never mentioned Grant. "You're brilliant," he said one evening, rain pelting windows. "Just good with numbers." No, brilliant. For the first time in years, I believed someone might be right about me. We developed a rhythm. Morning coffee at 7:30, comparing observations. Lunch walks where he'd explain green technology while I translated it into profit margins. Evening strategy sessions that stretched past midnight. "Why receptionist?" he asked once. "Your mind's too sharp for front desk work." "Sometimes you need to start over completely," I said carefully. He nodded, not pushing. "Well, I'm glad you started here." The hollow space in my chest began filling with something new. Not love yet, but possibility. Trust, maybe. The radical idea that I could be valued for my mind, not just my compliance. Daniel never asked why I flinched when men raised their voices. Never questioned why I had no emergency contacts. He just made space for whoever Clara was becoming. And slowly, she was becoming someone I actually liked. The meeting request came Tuesday. Monarch Projects LLC seeking investors. I knew before walking in, Grant would resurface like a bad penny. He sat across the conference table. Same expensive suit, practiced smile. His eyes swept past me twice before recognition hit. The color drained. "This is Clara Keene, our financial strategist," Daniel introduced. Grant's mouth gaped. "Clarice? Clara, shall we begin?" For an hour, I dissected Monarch Projects with surgical precision. Every weakness, every inflated projection, every place Grant's ego wrote checks his competence couldn't cash. "Your burn rate is unsustainable. Greenpulse won't be investing." Grant cornered me in the hallway, grabbing my arm. "Clarice, please." I stared until he let go. "Don't touch me. I'm sorry, I was stupid." "Yes, you were. I tried finding you. Hired investigators." "Why? To apologize or finish stealing what was mine?" His silence answered. "I didn't come for revenge," I said. "I came because I'm good at my job. Your company failing? That's your fault, not mine." "Clarice." "Clara. Clarice died at a scrapyard on her birthday. You killed her, remember? But Clara, she's doing just fine." I walked away, heels clicking confidence on marble. Behind me, Grant's world crumbled. The sound was sweeter than any birthday song. That night, Daniel found me on the warehouse roof, crying into Chicago wind. "That was your ex-husband." "Not a question." I nodded. "You rebuilt yourself from nothing," he said quietly. "That's the bravest thing I've ever seen." "I'm not brave, I'm just surviving. Same thing sometimes." He handed me his handkerchief. For what it's worth, his loss, my gain. The city sparkled below. Millions of lights, millions of stories. Mine was just one more reinvention in a city full of them. But it was mine. Daniel proposed on a Tuesday morning, 2 years later. Not with fanfare, just quiet certainty over warehouse coffee. "Marry me." I set down my mug carefully. "Daniel, I know you were married. Know it ended badly. Know you're scared." He reached across the desk, palm up. Invitation, not demand. "But I also know you reorganize my files when nervous. Hum Motown when happy. Trust me with everything except your whole truth." "You knew?" Clara Keene appeared from nowhere with decade-developed skills. "I'm not stupid." His thumb traced circles on my hand. "Figured you'd tell me when ready. My name is Clarice Monroe. My ex tried to destroy me. But he didn't. You're here. Brilliant. Loved. The rest is paperwork." We married at Lake Champlain. Just us and witnesses. White dress, grandmother's ring. When asked my name, I said clearly, "Clarice Monroe," not hiding. Choosing. That night, Daniel held me like I was precious but not fragile. There's a difference. Grant treated me like glass, something to display and break. Daniel treated me like steel, something fire-tested and stronger. "I love you," I told him, meaning it with my rebuilt heart. I know, the numbers never lie. We laughed until we cried, or cried until we laughed. Either way, we were home. The next morning, I signed my real name on everything. Credit cards, driver's license, the corporate documents making me Greenpulse's official co-director. Each signature felt like reclaiming stolen pieces. "How's it feel?" Daniel asked, watching me practice my signature. "Like coming back from the dead," I admitted. "But better, because I chose which parts to bring back." He kissed my forehead. "Good. The world needs all of Clarice Monroe, not just the parts someone else approved of." I believed him. More importantly, I was starting to believe myself. Second Light launched on my 40th birthday. Our fund for women rebuilding after divorce. Not charity, but investment in second chances. My assistant brought an envelope. Courier delivery. From Monarch Projects. Grant's handwriting. "Clarice, I have no right to contact you. Not asking forgiveness. I don't deserve it. Just wanted you to know losing you was my wake-up call. I'm in therapy, trying to understand why I needed to destroy beautiful things. You were right. I killed who you were, but watching who you became? Maybe the only good thing I ever did. Be happy. Grant, I fed it to the shredder. The past had no claim on my future. That night, Daniel and I stood on our Manhattan balcony. 5 years ago, I'd been discarded at a scrapyard. Now I helped other women find their worth. Any regrets? Daniel asked. I thought about Clarice, who was too trusting, too blind, accepting too little. Did I regret her choices? Maybe. But they led me here. No regrets. My phone buzzed. Another Second Light application. Another woman ready to rebuild. Tomorrow I'd help her find her path. Tonight, I just stood there. Daniel's arms around me, city lights below, stars above. Breathing, living, choosing joy. Grant left me in the dark on my 34th birthday. But I found the switch myself. Turned on lights he never knew existed. And I never needed him or anyone to flip them back on. The door out was never locked. I just had to be brave enough to turn the handle. And I was. God help me, I was.